Welcome, everybody, to Becoming Awesome's special International Women's Day edition. I'm your co host, Ray Thomas, and this is an AWS Twitch podcast series where Amazon insiders introduce you to the humans of AWS. We're excited to celebrate women around the world, including those streaming this event internationally, to the young future leaders at STEM schools like the Young Women's Leadership School in Astoria, New York, who Jenna and I had the opportunity to speak with this past December. I initially struggled with the idea of the male co-host starting the show, as normal for this event. But then I reflected on a question asked by one of the guests during our prep. And the question was, do we primarily market to women? And my response was that the women will be inspired by your journey, but everyone should be an advocate and continue to listen and learn and how we can be better advocates as well. So without further ado, I give you my awesome co-host and friend, Jenna Lass, with introductions.
Thank you, Ray. Good morning, good afternoon, and happy International Women's Day, ladies and gentlemen. We know there's a lot going on today, lots of events. Many people are gathering today to take part of celebrating events in honor of women and let's call it the demand for equality of half of this planet's population. So thank you so much for choosing to spend 30 minutes with us. And I would like to address the gentleman in the room. Ray is the real thing, ladies, when it comes to being a female advocate, and one that many men can learn from. And if you don't believe me, you can see this for yourself on his Instagram account. There are videos of him meticulously styling his daughter's hair and motivationally speaking at her STEM middle school. So he is an honorary girl dad. That shirt is not a fake. But we are here today to get to know these ladies, your work and your experiences of being a female in technology. And some of those girls may be tuning in. So why don't we start with quick introductions? We'll start with you, Sree, and then you can turn it over to Viktoria. Just a quick introduction, who you are, and if you'd like to share any personal or fun facts as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jenna, and thank you so much, Ray. Hi, everyone. My name is Sree Ratnasinghe. I'm based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been in AWS almost 2 years with Amazon Web Services, and I lead our customer solutions managers for North America. We help customers adopt the cloud and achieve their business outcomes. In terms of my personal life, I have 2 daughters. One is 19, one is about to turn 17. So this topic of equity and equality is super important to me. And I also speak 4 languages. So with that, let's embrace equity.
Thank you. Let's get you up, Viktoria.
Hi, everyone. My name is Viktoria. I'm a senior developer advocate at AWS. I've been here for a little bit over 2 years. I worked for a couple of years as a partner solutions architect. As Sree, I also have a small daughter and I have 2 boys. So the equality topic is really important to me, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Thank you. I'm going to take us just a little bit deeper. We'll get Sree back up. Sree, if you can just tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to go in the direction to arrive where you are today.
Yeah, so the journey is always really interesting. So I was born in southern India, and I took my early inspirations from my mother and my grandmother. So my grandmother, late grandmother, was the matriarch of our family. She was actually asked at the age of 12 to stop school, get married, started running a household. And so this incredible woman, without a whole lot of formal education, took it upon herself to advance all the women in her family, multiple generations, and this extended network of women around her. So I take that inspiration as I started out as a developer, degrees in computer science and information networking. And then I quickly learned that I wanted to do two things with that ability. One, networking, and then two, to help people. So that led me to this role at AWS, leadership role, helping customers to be successful, which sometimes involves their culture programs, their talent programs, and helping women and minorities to really achieve equity and a path forward as an active change agent. So if my grandmother were here, this is a true reflection of the work that she started many years ago.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do. I think your grandma would be very proud. Let's get Viktoria back up. Thank you. Viktoria, please tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to land where you are. And I'll also just add that as viewers have questions for either Sree or Viktoria, to please put them in the chat so we can make sure to address them. Go ahead, Viktoria.
Sree, by the way, very interesting story. My passion for cloud computing, I would say, or even STEM in general, started also early in my career. So, well, early in my education, in the school, our first programming classes, we had to write code on the paper, and then we had to go to a separate building like once a week where we had those computers and we could put our code and see if it's going to work. So and this really inspired me to become an engineer, and I worked for an automation industry for like over 12 years. And then in 2017 I was doing my MBA and I took a cloud computing course, and that's where first time I tried hands-on on AWS. We had a capstone project, and I was analyzing homelessness in the US. And that was the first time when I tried S3, Athena, and I was just so amazed how quickly I could analyze like gigabytes of data and get all of this visualization dashboards. And I was working at the time in the industry, and I'm like, well, if I wanted to do something like this, like a project in a company, it would have taken me like at least 4.5 months just to take a VM. And that's where I realized if I want to drive innovation, if I really want to make impact, I have to move to the cloud computing world. And after my MBA school, I went to consulting and I pursued the projects in the cloud computing.
And I just want to add one thing. Like, I think, what Viktoria said, that was really an aha moment for me about the cloud. And in particular, when I experienced AWS and tried out something which is very unique that we have, it's a technology called serverless, where literally you run code that connects things without servers. I just thought, like, this is just something amazing that like I wanted to go deeper and learn and experience.
So on this note, what programs or certifications or technologies do you recommend people to get started with?
So I think the first one, just to get started, is a certification. It's called the AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification. There's free training out on AWS for this and digital skills training. And it really gives anyone, even people who do not have a technology background, so total level playing field, an overview of what is cloud computing. And with labs, you can get started and build a website and build some basic applications. And Viktoria, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And what I really like about it is that you don't need to think about this heavy lifting, right? Like launching infrastructure. You have an idea and you go and you try and you build it, and you can get started like very quickly. Some of our tutorials, like those hands-on tutorials, can be executed in 10 minutes. Like how amazing it is that you have an idea and then you go, you try it, and then you actually have some kind of a project in 10 minutes. The fun fact, one of my first projects that I built personally on AWS was actually a Alexa skill game for my kids that I entertained them. And it was so much fun because I built something and then I tried it, and my family saw the things that mom is doing.
Victoria, I want to say, I'm excited to also have you here because I followed you on LinkedIn for a while, and because I index high on learn and be curious, I'm constantly trying to find ways of learning complex things in the fastest, most efficient ways. And here you are. I see all the videos and reels that you put out on social. Did you know you could do this? And then boom, you show like a super simple way to do that. And I see why you have a massive following in the tech community because you simplified things. You simplified it and then gave people maximum output from their learning. So really appreciate you doing that. So while I still have you here, I'm gonna take this question with you, Victoria. So can you talk about ways that you've advocated for change?
So you touched on some of this, and thank you so much for talking about the work that I do on social media. It's been I really enjoy it. To be honest with you, some of those activities that I do to empower others brings me the most joy, and that's why I decided to change my role recently and go from a partner solutions architect, where I enjoyed driving the innovation with partners, to more of a working with community and empowering community to really adopt the new technologies. So some of the things that I do, sometimes it's really about just bringing awareness, because at AWS we have so many amazing programs. I shared today on LinkedIn post about the programs that support women, programs that support girls, programs that support minorities. And sometimes it's just by sharing those resources and amplifying messaging, right? You're already doing good. Sometimes it's about leading by example, right? So let's say I became certified, and there is a high disproportion of women becoming certified. It's sharing those tips, what I learned, what helped me to achieve this, and helping others to do the same, and then show why they need to do this, like how it's helping my career. So I would say driving awareness, leading by example. And another thing that I do is participating in this programs. So I'm a mentor in AWS She Builds, which is now Cloud Up for Her program. This program, when I started at AWS, it was like 700 people, and it was running out of Australia. And I said, oh my God, such an amazing program, helping women to get certified. So I started amplifying messaging about this program. And you know what? Last year, we closed at over 100,000 of women. And this is just, by helping amplifying and bringing awareness, and then helping also bringing other women in at AWS and saying, hey, we have this amazing program. Would you like to volunteer? Would you like to help? So those are some of the things that we do. And I don't know if there is a way to put the links in the resources. I would like to maybe highlight some of these programs that we have so people can take advantage of them.
Something tells me you're going to see a very large boost in LinkedIn followers after this program, Victoria. I'd like to extend the conversation beyond your points of creating awareness and being an example. So why don't we ask Sree if you can jump in and talk about how can women stand in solidarity with each other?
So I think this solidarity concept is very important. So the first thing is advocacy. It's about understanding the strengths of others and really figuring out how can you advocate for them? How can you help them with the next step in their career journey? Make an introduction to either a new technology or a person in their network that might be really helpful to open a door for them. So once we have advocacy, the next step is really in understanding and driving equity. And when we drive equity, we look for things that are systemically need to be addressed and put together big programs or small programs that help address them. I'll give you one example. At AWS, and Amazon, we started a return ship program. So a lot of women go into the workforce, then they might have a kid, take a step to spend time with their family, might be a little while, and then they want to return back into the workforce. And it's not that easy to get back in. So Amazon created this program that really paves the path in a structured way for that return to help people pick up new skills and to also get them mentors. And then the third piece with solidarity is celebrating and doing things together as a community. A couple of weeks ago, a few I was surrounded by some talented women in AWS and a customer of ours, and we did a hackathon together. It was a women in tech themed hackathon with a lot of different innovative ideas and built some cool things together very quickly. And those types of events create community, and there's solidarity in that community.
Wow, that sounds so rewarding. What about as far as obstacles? Was there anything, any obstacles that you had to overcome in your career?
I think there's a couple of different things. So the first one is, and this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, people assuming that a woman is selected for something because she's a woman. So I had many people say to me over the years that, hey, I know you got to where you are because you're a woman. And I had to learn to say, I'm extremely qualified, and these are all the things that I did to get here. And then the next step is I learned to say, I don't even need to say that. I don't need to defend myself. I deserve this spot. So that's the first thing, that having that confidence in yourself. Another obstacle that I face is coming back to the workforce after having a child. My first daughter, who might be out there listening to this, was born prematurely and had a lot of health issues in her first year. So I had a wonderful set of male allies where I worked who really helped to put together a very good and flexible work situation for me where I needed to come back. And I think that's a great example of how people can be allies to help overcome those obstacles and create the conditions for women to succeed.
Thank you. And you just busted my bias, because my question for you was, how can women stand in solidarity? But it's actually, how can everyone stand in solidarity? So thank you.
Thank you for that, Sree. Victoria, I want to turn it over to you because this also sometimes leads to imposter syndrome for people because of some of the comments made, that are unethical, to be direct, right? So with that said, have you experienced it before, or how do you overcome imposter syndrome yourself, if at all?
Yeah, to be honest with you, not only I experienced it, I would say I am still experiencing it, right? And I think that feeling of like that you shouldn't take yourself seriously, it really doesn't go away. Like no matter where you are in your career, like sometimes like how do I know, right? And especially it was very difficult for me during my first year at Amazon when I joined, and I saw all of these smart people doing all of these amazing things. And I remember myself, I was really just like a hamster on a wheel. Oh, I heard I need to get in my first 3 months associate certification. Let's do it. I need to do something for partners. Let's do it. I need to become a speaker certified, go to reinvent and present. Let's do it. I need to get my pro certification. I remember I achieved it at the very end of my first year on December 29, and I was completely burnt out. Like I honestly at that time I was questioning myself whether Amazon is the right place for me. And what really helped me at the time is finding a mentor. Sometimes it's not even so much about getting some ideas, but it's about talking to somebody who can relate to you and understand what you're going through. Because of course I can talk to my husband, but he's from different field. He might not even understand what I'm talking. So I would say, so if you're going through this, I have a couple suggestions. So find a mentor, somebody who can understand what you're going through, somebody at your workplace. Second is celebrate your achievements. I was focused on what else can I do? What else I need to do? And I forgot completely to say, hey, Victoria, you've done such an amazing job in your first year. How about you celebrate how far you've gone? Um, and the last one is also learn how to say no. In Amazon, we have infinite amount of work, and people constantly come to you with all of these brilliant ideas, right? And sometimes it's about like, yes, but I'm one human and I cannot do it all, right? And it's about really trying to prioritize your work and say no. So yeah, those are three tips that I have that helped me now to feel much better about working at Amazon.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing that. And I'm sure a lot of people found that incredibly helpful because mentorship is one of the key things that even helps me, deal with my own imposter syndrome. But then someone reminded me and said, this is not an organization where they will hire you if you weren't good enough. They see the good in you. So if you're on the boat, get rid of that imposter syndrome. That's because they know you'll do incredibly well here. So with that said, there's people just breaking into their career. They're trying to break into a career, and as Niraja had put in the chat earlier, saying I just finished my cloud practitioner certification and now look for jobs. And how do you break into that entry level job market? It's a very common question and one that everyone would love to know a little bit more about. Is there any tips that you could share?
Yes, happy to share. I've done hiring in my previous role. So I did some screening, helped recruiters to put candidates in the pipeline, and also interviewed candidates. So I would say, regarding certifications, they are a good way to get noticed, right? If you put that you're certified on, you have it on your LinkedIn's, and recruiters might identify and find you. Cloud practitioner normally is a foundational certification, so it's not that technical. So if you are aspired to get a more of a technical job, then you really should go for the next level, which will be associate level. If you are interested in cloud but not technical role, the cloud practitioner is, you can stop at the top. But what's more important? Okay, well, you got the check mark, you got into pipeline, you're scheduled for your interview. On the interviewers, they're not going to ask about the questions that you see on certification exam. They will be asking you what you've done, right? What skills you're bringing. And that's where I think there are sometimes maybe misunderstanding in the market, and then maybe even bad perceptions of certifications. Oh, I like these people say I achieved certification, but they know how to do the job. You absolutely have to supplement your certifications with hands-on skills. And it's really important to find the opportunities, whether building your personal side projects, finding a mentor and helping somebody. Like I actually found somebody that I did projects for free just to get this experience. So I could say, well, those are the projects that I've done. So always think about supplementing your hands-on skills. And in terms of entry-level jobs, well, there are plenty of jobs. And I think people always stuck in this kind of idea, oh, if it's a cloud, then I have to apply to AWS, Azure, or GCP. No, like think about, there's like 98% of Fortune 500 companies are utilizing, if not 100% by now, utilizing cloud, right? So you can look for the jobs in consulting companies. That's how I started. There are plenty of analyst level roles. There are plenty of associate level roles. So don't only focus on the cloud providers themselves. There are plenty of opportunities with customers and partners.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people will find that helpful. And Sree, I think you wanted to add something to that.
Yeah, I think these are excellent points about certification and preparation. I would also say user groups. there are a lot of different technology user groups, AWS user groups, and various groups in both virtual and in local areas that meet either in person and or virtually, which are just great opportunities to network and go be curious about technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, data and analytics. And you can both pick up a new skill, understand what somebody was doing, and build your network. I know several individuals who they've got their certifications, they've learned things through these user groups, and through that has led to getting to that first role.
Thank you. Thank you both. Very helpful information. I want to go back to the topic of imposter syndrome, because that is a real thing. We didn't hear from you on that, Sree, and I wonder if you've experienced it as you've elevated in your career and how you may have managed that.
Yeah, I definitely have. I think, and I felt it at very different levels. I will say that the first thing to do is I really liked Victoria's idea of getting a mentor. And I think surrounding yourself with a set of people who believe in you and who know you. Sometimes when you might be afraid to take a step or afraid to take on, a little bit concerned about taking on that big next role or initiative, going to those people who know you, who can give you a little bit of a pep talk and remind you about those things is really good. The second thing that really helps, in my opinion, with imposter syndrome is seeking many diverse perspectives on your work. That's one of Amazon's leadership principles, is about seeking diverse ideas. And when you build something, like you build an application, you write a document, you create something, to get different perspectives, like before going into a big meeting where you have to demo something or present something, that strengthens, personally for me, my confidence in my ideas. And then the third thing, it might sound a little silly, but to actually keep a running log somewhere on a piece of paper or online of all the things that you have done, and keep adding to it every month or every quarter, because I think we actually forget all the things that we've done. And it's great to have that rolling log to go back and look at and take those moments and appreciate.
Yeah, that's a really, really good advice. I may take that myself and call it my imposter journal. So thanks. We have just a few minutes left. So I'll just ask openly if you can both share one final piece of career advice.
Yeah, so I'll actually give two. I'll say number one, definitely certifications are, I think, very, very critical. And just go build, just go spin up a cloud environment and experiment, build what you want. The second thing is to be authentic to yourself. Very often, I have experienced getting told you have to speak a certain way, you have to behave a certain way, you have to be this. And I felt it was very important to be true to myself and to live in my own skin, so to speak. So be authentic.
Awesome. And Victoria, we have another minute or so left. Would love for you to close it out. What would be your advice?
I would say follow your passion, because to become successful, it really requires dedication and hard work. And if your own values align with the values of what you're doing at work, you're going to do it. You're going to just bring the best of yourself, your creativity, your enthusiasm, and the things that you do will be really shown as impactful. Where sometimes, people go for wrong reasons, and then they find themselves they not enjoying it, and they will find 100 reasons to delay things and not do right. So I would say life is too short. Follow your passion and make sure that your work aligns with it.
Thank you
So
so much.
inspiring.
Yeah, so inspiring. And I want to thank everybody here. First, Jenna, thank you as always, helping lead these conversations. But our incredible guests, Sree and Viktoria. I know a lot of people probably went away with a few great nuggets that can help them throughout their journey. And again, a special thanks to all the women out there. There's no civilization without the women. Simple as that. So the strongest nations have female leaders, and that's just a quick reminder of why we should keep on elevating, and this shouldn't be a problem. So thank you all. It was inspiring, and let's all embrace equity and equality. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.